Okay, so I'm joined again today with my friend Frances Sue, and just feels like this is going to be pretty spontaneous. And just thank you so much for joining with me again today, Frances.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, one of the things that's been coming up for me in the last week or 10 days or something, feels like it has to do with just this temptation to think that something can occur against my will, that someone can tell me, and it sort of feels like it's specifically related to some directions that were given me when I was in Mexico, when I was suddenly asked to leave. I was told the guidance is for you to go, and I think for the week leading up to that, I was thinking, I don't think I've ever been so happy, and I felt like I was really in function and extending, and it's like, I'm just going to be here for, and that was what I was thinking, and it really felt like a shock, and even though we talked things through, the decision had been made, and I can still feel an element of my mind sort of, even though I feel open to obviously the concepts or the teachings of A Course in Miracles are that nothing comes to us unbid, that it must have been really me asking for that. I can notice there's been temptations upon arriving back here to want to blame, to want to feel like I'm a victim, and to want to feel even these feelings of I've been betrayed, I've given everything, I've devoted everything, and I've been thrown out, and I feel like I want to just start with that topic. And is there anything even just around that, Frances, that you can, have I said enough for you to sort of speak around that area? It feels deep. It feels like, I know there's a lesson even in as early as the 33 it might be, I'm not the victim of the world I see. And it's easy to say that. And it's kind of like if I really knew that, if I really, really got that and that was my experience, then I don't think I'd have a problem ever with anything, It's so one of the things that this has shown me is well, there's still a level of, believing that there's something outside of me that can, either do something to me or, tell me something that's not what I truly want. There's something separate, and or I'm separate from that. Could you do any thoughts come to you around that sort of topic, Frances?
Yeah, I think it's actually really good that you can get in touch with that, and to be able to see that you do have the desire to feel that you're a victim of the world, or a victim to a specific situation, or victim to a group of people. Just actually to be able to see that, I think, is pretty big and is really important, because it's interesting. I read something the other day, I think it could be on Facebook, that it says the pathway is the obstacle. So, or how to put it, it's we keep talking about what is the pathway, but the pathway, there is no pathway there if there is no obstacles to be looked at, or if there is, no concepts that is blocking the light. So really go towards the obstacles is the pathway. So yeah, the direction towards the obstacles is basically the pathway. So in a way, I think this kind of victim thinking in and of itself is so addictive. Is actually like fundamental to the whole ego thought system. It's so fundamental there. So it's the last thing that we even question it, because everything else is built on top of it. So you just get lost in, the specific situations and or try to improve certain specific things, but the fundamental things are like hidden underneath, and we never really question it. So in a way that, the fact that it's even coming up is really just saying that there's, in the Course it's saying that leave no stone unturned. And so all that you now see is there are still some stones in the mind that is just coming up to the light. And so, and that the addiction to the victim thinking is in the mind. So it's not really a specific situation that needs to change. All the specific situation is to bring this addiction up into awareness, up into light, to be questioned. That's all, because it's just a reflection. It's nothing but a reflection of what is already in place, of what is already running the subconscious mind, It's running the lives and running the beliefs, and everything is, reflected back by this specific situation, and of course the beliefs that you identify with the specific situation. So, and I totally agree with you that I'm not a victim of the world has to be an experience, and not something that as an affirmation, or it's a very high state of mind that the Course is pointing to, and is asking us to go in for that direction, for an experience of it. But it isn't just through affirmation, like in the mind, it's actually through just looking at whatever that's brought up in the awareness and work towards it. That's where you can truly experience that I'm not a victim of the world. And I can tell you, if you really just look closely of yourself in this scenario, because it's really a gift, because where else and when can you really be present with yourself in this specific like a construct of all the beliefs around this, and then watch your reactions. So if you really watch yourself closely when this kind of story come up, you can see when you feel peaceful and when you feel suffering. And I can point you towards that, but it's in the end it has to come to your own realization. It has to come from within to see that, oh my God, when I desire to be a victim, the desire is reflected by believing in it, believing I'm a victim. Then I suffer. But when I see, or when some part of you must resonate or connect with the fact that you are not a victim, that actually whatever that's happening is a reflection. They have absolutely no power. They don't have a mind of its own. They don't have a direction of its own. It's a reflection of the desire of the mind. And even I can connect with it, because I remember you told me before this direction was given you, you told me yourself that you wanted to leave, that you felt it's completed. You felt you wanted to go back to Australia. I remember that. And I know that, you don't need to do anything except just to watch how you feel when you connect with that state of mind that, oh my God, there is, part of me that is desiring it, and the outside world is nothing but a reflection. It's nothing but a reflection. And if you choose that direction of thinking, and if you choose the other direction of thinking, which is I'm the victim, and they ask me to do something I don't want to do, I know what is that I want, which I have lost because they gave me the direction. You know, you can see the difference of how you feel. You know, and I know that in my own healing experience, this is really what I connected with, is that I truly suffer when I was a victim to my story, when I believe that or run it in my mind. And I had peace when I connect with actually this is my desire. And it's an overwhelming peace, because when I connect with, wow, this world is actually just a reflection, it's nothing, it's absolutely nothing except a reflection, then who am I? What power do I have to have a reflection like this? It's a kind of overwhelming, but the mind is not used to, or even there probably addiction to smallness, and doesn't really want to think that way. And just to be very present with how you feel, at least then you know how, when you feel good and when you feel bad. And there is, like, the right and wrong comes, you know, it's not even about which way is right and which way is wrong. It's all about which you feel connect to truth and give you peace, and which way you feel small and suffer, you know. Then in the end, if you are so connected or so present with just this one scenario and really be focused on your emotional ups and downs and the stories in your mind, in the end you will see the whole world and the whole human experience as nothing but that. Do I want to be a victim or not? That determines whether I suffer or not. Really. It's really just that. Then, you know, I guess for myself, I truly connected with that, but I also started to really pay attention, to be so honest with myself, especially when situation came up that I thought it wasn't my choice. When it came up, I was really present and want to ask myself, just, can you truly honestly say this is not what you want? Or you're just rebellion or resistant in the mind, just, you know, screaming and shouting to say, no, the world has done me wrong and I am so angry, I'm so small, I have no power. Because I remember, you know, like last year in Australia, where I was facilitating the silent retreat, and I know that I had this desire to just have a real reverent and devoted and hermitage-like retreat, a complete silence with everybody. And then the day before, I think the day before retreat start, my computer crashed. It's a brand new computer, 2 months old, I think, and crashed. And I remember I was on the phone with Apple repairs or customer service, and just talk, and it feels so frustrating because nobody could help me. And then it's like I just suddenly realized, wow, I want it to be different. I want my computer to not crash. And I thought I was a victim of the situation, and I could feel the powerlessness of it when I was thinking that way. And I just put it aside and really connect with, you know, do I really want this computer to be able to have internet and Skype calls and emails, or do I actually prefer to not have anything distracting? And I thought, actually, I prayed for a period of time that is completely silent in my mind. So I let it go, and the computer was put into repair, and again, it just, you know, it was going to be ready in a week, and something happened. So in the end, it actually came back repaired the day the retreat finished. So 3 weeks I had no computer, and it's so precise to the day. And I knew that if I don't connect with this is truly my desire, then I'll get lost. I want to fix the situation. I want to feel powerlessness. I want to feel frustrated. And it's just so frustrating to try to change the world or anything, And as soon as I connected with my true desire, it is just overwhelming to think this is all a reflection of my desire. The computer will crash and be repaired. The whole world is collaborating. The whole world is reflecting what I want. And it's like, it really takes us to be very vigilant and present to ourselves, to our truth, and be very honest with ourselves in this kind of situation to really connect. But I do feel it's a golden opportunity, because all the other teachings, and you can say the word, I'm not a victim of the world, for as long as you want, but this is the situation where you're going to have experience of it. It's what other scenario can really convince you, except you experiencing a situation where normally you would feel a victim, and then it transforms. Then it's going to be so powerful, and nothing, no teaching in words can give you that.
Oh, that's just beautiful. Hearing all that, just feeling it just wash through me, like. Yeah, I was. Just thank you for that. I just feel how true everything is that you just said there, and how I actually feel like that's even. I don't know. It's like I feel like all of that is becoming my experience. Like even as I'm sharing about this, it's like I don't even know if there's even any like grievance left. It's just like, but it does actually feel really helpful to talk about this and to just hear. Just hear the clarity that you bring to this area. Like, I just really, very grateful for it. Like, and actually, something that helped too the other day. It's interesting. I want to share this. I was staying with our friend Big at a few nights back in Sydney, and she just started sharing this parable that involved you, and it directly related to my experience. Like she said, she talked about something you shared with her about when your assignment with David, the relationship assignment, was maximized, and there was this feelings in you of like that, you weren't wanting that, or like there was, something that like was resisting that or something. But then as you actually got more honest around what was really going on, you acknowledged that there was a point a while back where you actually had seen that, but actually almost didn't want to go to that point yourself, seemingly in your own mind. And I think that's how it's played out for me, Frances, is that like there've been several times where I'd actually thought, I'm actually feeling that I am to go, but it was almost like I want some safety. I want to know what it's going to be like in Australia. It's like almost like, God, this almost feels too scary. And the way it seems to, and I'd love for you to comment around this, but it almost feels like the way it was set up was that I almost like I needed someone else seemingly to tell me, like, this is done. It's like, for a moment I forgot. It's like, oh, that's right. That was done, wasn't it? But it's like, for a moment it's like going, oh, what are you doing? You've thrown me out, But it's like, hey, that's what I'm asking for. It's kind of like it's my it's the opportunity for me to step up and to really, to deepen. And, it's like, this is the path that you're talking about. This is the path that because I have had a fear thought around almost like, say, just around, as much as like community's been so helpful, I couldn't even begin to say how helpful it's been. Yet there was this fear thought of like, I need it, I'm going to, it's like my safety net and I don't want to kind of come back somewhere where there isn't that, seemingly support and safety, and I'm going to be alone. I don't want to start all again. I don't have funds, and it's like, but if you've got any thoughts around that, because that's what I'm kind of feeling. It's like, wow, I think that was like helpful. It was almost like I set that up in my mind, but it's like I needed someone else to seemingly tell me so that I would take that step. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's just what's playing out, really. Like sometimes I notice there are like at certain point there is definitely a huge gift when I feel something and not holding back, not sit with it for a long time and hope that I don't make a wrong move, but just to go for it, speak it up and move forward, and just to I feel there is a huge gift when I see that, like there is no hesitation or there is no compromise. When I hear what seems to be the steps or the direction, then there is no guessing or doubting coming up. So sometimes it just plays out as I will be the initiator in a lot of the steps, and it's powerful for me to see the certainty and the strength when I move with the spirit, and not buy into doubt thought. But sometimes it just plays out that like it's someone else when I already connect at some level with the desire or the script, let's say, but it just plays out for someone else to move first, or to tell me, or to move on. And I notice in those kind of situations it's just a different lesson for me, and it's all necessary. If in the end it just should be the same, like I don't feel anything, I feel peace, I feel peaceful when I move first, or I feel peaceful when other people take the initiative. But if I have any rejection or exclusion thoughts or abandonment thoughts, especially for example just in a relationship context, or the one that you're experiencing, like people telling you that it's time for you to move on, if I have any thoughts or reaction or grievance around it, then all that is to say that there is just this attachment to being a victim that wants to be washed away right now, and the situation is just facilitating that. So I think that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah. I want to talk around. The idea of trust, and I feel like it does relate to this area really. There's a lesson in the Course that says, I trust my brothers who are one with me, and again, that's a very lofty concept, and I'd love to hear from you around. I know there's a section in the Course that talks about the development of trust, and just want to share a little bit about some thoughts I've had recently around it. And like, perhaps I can't say, like, I was going to say something like, I feel like I have almost like total trust in you. It may not be total. I don't know if that's even, like, if it's total in you, then it's probably total in everyone. So that may not be completely true, but it feels like it's very, very high amount of trust that I have in you, in anything that you're saying. I feel like there's this openness in my mind that I'm gonna listen. I'm open to hearing what you have to say. I felt that probably it increased like massively since some of what played out for us in, or particularly for me, I guess, in last year in Australia. Like, it's like just this huge level of trust, and I've noticed that if I'm really honest, it seems anyway that I haven't had the same level of trust for several others and even several others who seemingly have been in like if you like authority type positions in relation to me. And I want to kind of I want to look at this, and I want to heal it. I want to get honest, because I think what I've been doing a bit in my mind is, again, it feels a little bit like playing victim, playing almost like, I'll trust this one, but I'm not sure I'm really going to trust this one, and yet it almost like it was given, it was like given for me to trust this one. It was like, I don't know how this, I don't understand how this works, that somewhere there's this idea of discernment. Ultimately, I really want to, because I don't feel like, it's not like I woke up and thought, okay, I'm going to really try to trust Frances. It's like, it feels like I didn't try to do it. It just happened, and it's like, it's there. I didn't work on it, Yeah. And so I want to trust myself. I want to trust the discernment that I'm feeling. And yet sometimes I can feel confused around certain directions that are given. And to me, it feels like a leap to say, I trust my brothers who are one with me. I mean, it sounds like Jesus in that is saying, you just trust every brother because they're you. Well, are there stepping stones with that? Is it helpful to have certain ones that, especially when it comes to really sharing things that are just feel very, take me to very deep places, even very sensitive places in my mind. Like, can you talk around that and whatever comes up for you around that? Because it feels like a really important area. Like Jesus says, like, trust is like the foundation of everything. And I get that. I get that. And I think some emotion that was just coming up for me around just talking to you. It's almost this part of me just kind of goes, I relax, and there's a knowing that it's like I'm held, I'm trusting what you're saying, and it's like somehow it's almost like somewhere talking with you that it's like I'm getting that you're not separate from me, that I can feel that within me, but it almost seems like sometimes I need to have this joining to almost have that awareness. Look, I don't know if all of that is making sense, but if you've got any thoughts around that, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, thank you. I feel trusting someone is so important and is so necessary. And my experience is exactly the same as yours, is that I couldn't choose the ones that I trust. I mean, the thing is, in the end, it is trusting the Spirit and trusting all the brothers who are one with me. So there is no special ones or the ones that's more worthy than others. But somehow I can see the journey that's played out in my life is that for some reason I feel this huge draw and openness towards a few among many. Like there are specific ones that I feel so open to hear, And I feel so present when they, not only when they start to speak, I would watch everything they're doing. I watch how they talk, how they serve. I would watch their attitude in doing everything. And I can't describe because I feel inspired. That's just pulling me. And that is so used by the Spirit, because when Spirit knows you have some channel of your are open, the Spirit gonna rush through, because the Spirit just wants to get your attention so bad and want to tell you, what is the truth, and don't get caught up to the illusions or the distractions. So if you have openness towards a brother, especially now in this context where we all share the same purpose towards awakening and towards God, and when you feel this, and I know that for me, I felt it very strongly towards certain ones, and it was just so used by the Spirit, because I feel safe. That's something that I can't even consciously control, because when I feel safe with someone, I would be able to share everything without filter. Like something that I feel embarrassed about myself, something I feel dark, I would not be afraid. So that just helps so much. And of course I can hear, in the end it's the Spirit that does the healing and does the transformation of the mind, but every brother served as a way to support that healing and support the mind from being shut down, from continuing opening up towards the Spirit. So I see how big a role those brothers have played, and also my trusting them has supported me into keep opening up towards a brother or towards the Spirit. But so I would not, when I feel this way, I would not judge myself, saying that I should, I wouldn't jump ahead to say I shouldn't be what I am right now. I should be, as the Course is saying, trust everyone. I mean, that will happen, but just even use what is given, what feels most inspiring and flowing for you right now. Just use it. Spirit, that Spirit will use it too. But in the end, in my experience, I noticed was the total trust in a brother. If I placed my trust and really believed it was a person, and it was inevitable to feel that way. I felt like one person or two people, specific ones are more clear than others, and they're further ahead, and I trust them because of that. That's a logic in my mind. And then that will take me only so far, and that will collapse. The idol I put up will collapse. You put up anybody as an idol, the idol will collapse. But the result of collapsing of the idol is not like I don't trust you anymore. That's the ego's version of an idol collapsing. What happens is the trust has been built in the mind so much. You think it's about a brother, but I tell you it isn't. It's trust is trust is trust. You develop this trust in the mind that is not yourself, seemingly, not the personality self, Colin, but it is still yourself. You don't know it. If you think you're putting the trust in something outside, but the truth is there is no outside. So everything you put your trust in is yourself still. So that is, a big development of trust already. And then when the idol, the personality collapse as an idol, then you will actually see that you rise above the person. That's my experience. I started to not really feel I trust someone because anything. There's no because. I just trust someone because the Spirit is doing it. Because it's just like, it's a whole transformation of the mind, because I also feel nobody has a personal will or motive of their own. It's all the will of God. It's all the Spirit. Everybody's a puppet, and nobody has a choice. So when all of this kind of experience happened together, the mind is opening up to this new paradigm. And in that way, I really do not trust people can say or do things that is not the spirit. So in a way that I can say the trust transformed from seemingly a personality to the spirit. And when that happens, you automatically trust all the brothers. It just happens. You don't even transform on your own as a personal effort to say, okay, I trust this one, so now I need to trust this. No, it didn't happen to me like that. It happened to me by collapsing the idol on its own, and then boom, open up to everything. I trust everybody because the spirit is operating everyone, and everybody cannot help but follow their heart. So I don't believe people can do things that's not what is calling them in their heart, and what is really calling them except God and spirit. So in that way, that just happened. The trust is not a person, but it's to the spirit. So I just feel like every step serves. The ego always want to anticipate and judge, like whether I'm doing it right, because if I keep going the way I'm going, where it's going to lead to, the ego has no idea where it's going to lead to. And you just do what is given right now, and trusting the spirit is giving you the people you trust and all the steps. And in the end, the ego mind will dissolve.
So just to go a little bit, ask a little bit more around. I heard what you said, and I like what you said around, that I'm not that I want to judge myself for, say for the idea, just using the idea of the trust that I feel I have for you, like I'm hearing you say, like, to using that feels really helpful, and not to, and to be honest, it's like, yeah, it still does feel like there's elements of that, it's a trusting of Frances, I trust Frances, and I'm hearing what you're saying, that like there is some level of, idolization in that, so that ultimately that must go. It's inevitable that,
But you don't make it go.
Right, there's nothing I can do that's just going to, like, yeah. I don't need to try to figure out how I'm going to let go of that. Like, it's just...
No, it can't help but go when it doesn't serve your awakening anymore. It can't help. You can't make it go when it's still serving, and you can't even make it stay when it doesn't.
Oh, wow. Huh. So there's nothing to... I don't need to concern myself at all with it. It's just like, well, it's serving, it's great, and when it's not, it won't be an issue anyway. Like,
I mean, the thing is, that's my experience. Is at the beginning, the guilt, it's so deep that I feel everything I'm feeling must be at some level is wrong. So like, I can't help but want someone to tell me how to do it right, but it's actually, it just at the beginning, I really wanted to have someone that is not myself, that guides me, but that happened as simultaneous. Also I trust myself. So if I feel this way strongly, of course, the temptation is like, tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Should I do more or should I do less? How to get rid of specialness? I shouldn't be feeling this way. But, in the end, is to see that you feel what you feel. You don't have a choice. And just keep going with it. Keep going with what is presented in your mind or seemingly outside yourself. Keep going with it, and then you see they drop away. And then the feeling is the same. You don't feel the same way anymore. Then it will drop away, and in the end, it's just all points to this experience. What I'm feeling is always right. It's always right because I am the spirit.
I love that. I love something just dropped in. As you're talking there of wow, of like going with and using everything, because I've noticed even in my my connection with you, just using that as an example for a moment, like I've noticed the ego's wanting to come in there on both sides of it, right? At times it's almost been at me like, almost like urging me to be in contact or whatever, when it's like, oh, is that right? But then other times it's actually been like telling me not to, and it's like, that's just special, and it's kind of like, do you know what I was saying? Like somewhere it's like, I really appreciate, what is it I'm trying to say here? Somewhere it's like the ego just simply, the ego doesn't want me to like follow any inspiration, and like you're saying, it wants me to be wrong about everything, about every single thing. And somewhere like this almost feels like the further that we go with this, the deeper into the mind, it's like, it's not like the ego quietens down, but the thing is, it's like there does seem like there's more of a space in the mind and more of a trust of self, I suppose, that it's like, it's like, wow, I'm not going to deny the feelings I have. I'm not going to deny how it feels when I join with you, and how it just feels helpful. And so I can listen to that, I can follow that, and that seems to be what you're just reminding me of, that it's like, it's like I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like it's being used, and it's like, the spirit is never, ever, ever going to make us. It's never going to make me feel bad. It would only ever be the ego that's trying to do that, and it will do that. Not just, it will go from both sides. It will almost want to like paralyze me and have me think that I'm wrong both ways, but talking or not talking to, like, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to say that, I'm not sure if there's a question in this, but I'd actually have to say that I really am connecting with a sense of gratitude for stepping away from the community in Mexico and coming here, because there was, for a day or two, there was actually this deep sense of, it was like, I'd call it like dread. It was almost like revisiting some place in my mind where, that it happened even like 2 or 3 times, say in this seeming lifetime, if you like, and it was like, oh my God, no, here's this feeling, and it's like almost like I know this feeling lasts for months. It was almost like I'm going to be in hell. I'm going to be feeling like just small and weak and in despair for like months before and I was just noticing it going, oh my God, And it was like 24 hours or 48 hours, and not even that. It was like there were always. It was like my mind was just more and more open to like just these signs and symbols that were spirit, just sort of like gently, taking my hand, and it actually feels like it just kind of like popped through like really, really quickly. And so I do just want to say that something you mentioned earlier, that really we're asking for all the, what was the word you used, all the little obstacles or whatever to be shown. And it definitely has been something in my mind that I've like feared, and it's like, it's somewhere I needed to face it, and it actually feels like very, very quickly I'm being shown the joy actually of facing what has once like just so seemed to terrify me. So yeah. I sort of feel again I can't really remember what the topic was, but I feel really grateful to have joined with you. Do you have anything else coming up, Frances, that feels sort of juicy to share around, or are we done?
Let's see. I was thinking a little bit about. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday about form versus content, and it just came up to my mind while you were talking about this gratitude you felt. And I always feel that way when I can connect with what is present and not block it with a story to say, I don't really want to be here where I am, I would rather be somewhere else, but I'm a victim and I can't be where I would rather be because of, people who had more power or whatever. So that story it's just a block to what is present. And I just feel, I have been hearing different stories, actually just in the last few days, of people, they truly desire, because from my perspective, it feels so clear, they truly desire what is happening, because I remember they either prayed for it, or they asked for it, or it's just their desire somehow. But when the situation shifted or present themselves, it's amazing to see how strong the story is. Like this battle in the mind to say, I don't want that. I don't want what's happening. I had a plan. My plan was much better. And, and it's so strong in the mind. It's actually, I think that is the only thing to block us to be able to admit that actually what is happening is what we want. And the thing is, it's not even the form of what is happening is what we truly want. Is when there is no story and no victimhood in the mind, then we don't have, blocks to block us from connecting with the essence. That's what we truly want. So in a way that for a mind that is so heavily addicted to forms and thinking forms is the source of either pleasure or pain, then it's a huge convincing job for the spirit to sort of pull the attention from the form to the content. When we say the content, the friend that I was talking to yesterday mentioned that he actually didn't really understand what content was, because normally when we talk about content, it's more like, it's more like a form, like what's going on, what you can perceive. But actually, when we say form versus content to me is more like this essence of who we are, and this connectedness and this alignment with the spirit, that's the content. So the spirit really wants to convince us, the form is nothing, absolutely nothing, and it's just a story that you put in between you and me. So he wants to convince the mind to pull away from addicting to the form. And how can he do it when it's a massive job. But what I have been seeing is, people in this community, for example, I see that the spirit keeps shifting the form so much, and it's just really revealing to people where they can talk that I don't care what happens, I live in unknown. They can talk all they want, but when the form shifts, then there's a hit and there's a sense of loss. Then you do put your value outside, you do put your value onto what is happening. You do still believe external form is the source of your happiness or pain. So it's like I can see that's the way the spirit is convincing the mind, hey, come back to me. If you do not buy into your story, if you just come back to the present moment and connect with the present moment, then you feel happy regardless, even if it is a beautiful relationship that the spirit suddenly shifts. And if you can just be so connected with what is happening and not buying into the story that's playing in the mind, you can just feel as much love and as much happiness as you were before. So that's the way the spirit wants us to see, there is no source that is outside that gives you any happiness. It's your own mind. And don't buy into this story. Don't just come back to connect with me and with the content. So, yeah. So that's what I see. It's like the theme of the mind training here, The form shifts, and sometimes it's very surprising and very shocking, and really brings up people's sense of loss or fear of loss. But, it is really just you lose nothing except your addiction to pain, really.
I think one of the last shows of yours that went to air, out of the blue shows, you were talking with Chris, and you talked about, you brought in the idea of drawing no conclusions, and I feel like that relates to what you're just talking about, but there's something, you kind of went further with it. I wondered if you could, it felt like you were offering something very practical that, and obviously I didn't fully, I'm just trying to remember what, it feels like it was in relation to just noticing, if there is a thought or an expectation or an attachment or something in the mind, a meaning that's given to something, that we don't need to do much more than just notice that and release it, and then we're kind of free again. Could you just share? Because I just had the feeling with that idea that's been such a powerful one for you. That could you talk a bit about how that has been helpful? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, once you see it is a story that you're running, it's very difficult to still believe it. Really. That just reminds me of that scene in I Huckabee when Jude Law character was talking to everybody about this story that his encounter with this lady, and he kept talking about it. He wasn't even aware. he was talking about maybe there was like a self-concept associated with it, like give him some sense of pride or I don't know, attention, whatever, but he kept talking about it without even noticing that he was doing it, definitely not aware of what is running the story, what is behind that he just motivated him to keep talking about it to other people. But when he saw it, when someone pointed out, when he saw it, he threw up. It was that powerful that when you see what you're doing, you actually cannot do it again because it's not true, because it's not the true self that you're trying to protect. The story is always, always, always a protection and a defense about the self, always. So the motive that's running behind it is always to reinforce that self or protecting it. So once you see what you're doing, I remember I had a similar experience. I was doing some kind of storytelling. I guess it was kind of around something that I did on this spiritual journey that was so hard. Like there was a sense of I did something so difficult, or I went through such darkness, or something. Like I can't remember the details, but I remember I keep talking about it. But then one day I was talking about it and I saw what I was doing, and after I talked about it, I went to my room, almost threw up actually, like I was physically sick. I just couldn't do it anymore, not even in my own mind. Definitely not to others. But having said that, I actually did talk about it later, but it doesn't with the same kind of motive. It was just a very involuntary flow of something that came out that referring to the past, but it's different. In form, it's probably same, but it's different to me. So that's what I was saying. Like, just there is no healing. You are not a healer. All you need to do is to be willing to offer everything to the spirit, or actually to your own mind, to not hide it to your own mind. And once you don't hide it, you can, I know that for myself, practicing this honesty to myself is a big step, because I don't even know what I hide. I don't even know I wanted to hide from myself. But just, sharing with a brother is only symbolic, because a brother is not outside of me in truth. So when I feel like I don't even desire to hold anything towards a brother, then truly in the mind there is nothing that I want to protect anymore. And that is a very valuable practice for me. So then in the end, there's just such honesty that I have no fear to look at what I'm doing, even if it is not pretty, if it is not anything. I'm not afraid to admit that's what's happening there, and let's bring it up, and I see it, and that's all I need to do. I see it. So and the thing is, I just noticed so obvious. I can't believe when I'm the observer, I can't believe people don't see that's just a story that's blocking their peace. Because I feel like from observer perspective, it's really easy to see that people, whatever that's presented is their will, and if they can connect it with it, then there is no victimhood, no suffering that's even possible. Like you said, if I know in experience I'm not the victim of the world, then how can I even suffer ever? But it's the story, but it's so obvious to me, and yet I know, because I've gone through that, and I know when I was in that story, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see this is just a story. I was completely identified with it. so I know that the Spirit is very patient, and the Spirit has a way to bring us to the other side, to see that in the end. Now it's easy to say that, oh, it's just a story, but I also know how much it took for the Spirit for me to see that, especially for myself. So in that way, I feel like when other people, when I see other people are doing it, I just feel like it's, it's probably really difficult, and it will drop in the end. It will. The Spirit is always gonna heal the belief, so it will drop, but it's probably just my role to answer the call for love in however way that it presents. Sometimes it is pointing directly, sometimes it's just to be there, just to listen, and allow the story to run and run and run until it doesn't have any energy anymore. And sometimes just to be in support, because the call for love I perceive is not others' call for love, it's my own call for love. And I have no idea which part in the mind is calling for love. So I'm just glad to see it's presented, and I can answer it with the intention of giving love. But the form I can't choose, so just allow the Spirit to direct it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's just so, it basically what you've said there, basically it's like, what else are you going to do but love, really just to extend love to your brother, no matter what they're presenting, and, just feeling that. It's beautiful. There's something I just wanted to ask around that idea. And would you say that, anyone that's kind of, really wanting to continue telling those, the sad stories, or the, the victim stories, that somewhere, although it might not necessarily be conscious, and often it's not, that they, there must be a desire for that victimness, for that littleness. And would you also say that, somewhere I feel like I'm sort of connecting more with the idea of it's it's actually this, the alternative to that is the magnitude, is living from this love. And it's is there is it all, could you say that it's always about a fear of really stepping into that magnitude and the truth of what we are? Could you say that?
I think in my experience, when I truly connect with how powerful my mind is, and that I'm not a victim, the opposite of that is that the world is a reflection of my mind. And when I connect with that reality, it was overwhelming. It was not an easy reality. It's funny, we can say it all we want, we're one, blah, blah, blah. When it dawned on the mind, it was actually scary. It was really scary. That's the experience. But, so I feel there is definitely a fear of, the fear is the dissolve of the ego, and just to be this vastness. So there is a fear, but that's what I was saying to you, that it's not someone else's fear, because I know how overwhelming that was to me. So I don't want to assume that I know everything. I feel like if people are holding on to fear, I'm not surprised if part of my mind is part of the one mind is afraid, and they're calling for love. When I truly connect is not someone else that needs help, not individual who needs to wake up and needs help. It's actually my mind that is calling for love and calling for safety because they're so afraid. And then I just feel honored that I can give love to this part of my mind and have spirit pull through in whatever way he wants. But the intention is to give love and safety.
I love that. It feels so humbling. It feels so humbling, that idea, and so true, that because I can feel in me there's still, there's the temptations at times to think, oh, this brother's presenting this in this way and they're fearful and they're, but I love what you said. You said it a couple of times there of that is an aspect of my mind that's fearful, and it's a call for love. So I don't know, somewhere it just feels really helpful just to kind of, and for me then not to think that I know what that brother needs, because it's like you said, it's like the guidance could be, with some it could actually be to speak very directly, and for others it might just be to totally give them space just to speak, and I don't know, it's kind of like that does feel like what this this journey is like. There's no set answer, is there? It's kind of like it's almost like more like, no, I need to just step back and get out of the way and just make space for the one who does know, and that just feels to be ever humbling, and I guess humility is a good place just to stay in,
Yeah, I mean, when I feel it is myself that is afraid, and I actually don't connect with it, like I feel, I'm peaceful and everything, but when I just know it, whoever that is appearing to be angry or afraid or suffering, it's me, then I can't help but be humbled to think I don't know anything. How can I know anything? How can I know how to answer that? I don't even know that I'm afraid, So it's like so humbling and so willing to say, I don't really know how to help here. I know the intention, that's all I know, and just let spirit to direct this body if it can be of any help. But it's the attitude, that is gonna change the mind, because it is the mind that it needs to be changed. So the attitude is everything. It's not about the form at all. It's definitely not about teaching, definitely not about words. It's about the attitude that you hold in your mind, and that's gonna light up the dark corner of the mind and provide safety. So
I was just hearing that word attitude just before you said it. It feels so, like I can feel it in what you're saying. It's like this attitude of, it's like welcoming, beyond welcoming. It's like you were saying, things like just this, like feeling blessed and honored that this brother is sharing, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, wow, that is, what a beautiful, like invitation almost, to come to that, to feel that from a brother is like, yeah, look, hey, I'm honored to, I don't know, it's like, I like that. I like that, and sometimes all it is in this path, just a little tweak of like, I just can sort of feel that tweak in my mind of like, yeah, wow, I want help just in tweaking that attitude, and I'm not sort of separating like, oh, these are the ones that are, genuinely on the path and calling. It's like, no, it's all an aspect of my, let's face it, my, often my fearful aspects of my mind, and it's like, let me be willing to just have this attitude of wanting to truly love and recognizing that I don't know how to. I don't know how to really be with my brothers. I don't really know how to help, but I want to, like, let me be willing to really serve in the best way that I can.
Yeah.
You're such a gift, Frances. I feel so. I'll use the same word. I feel so honoured, so blessed to have these chances to connect with you in this way, and I feel like I feel you're such an inspiration to me. Like, I was looking, there were ideas in my mind, when I kind of got back here in Australia, and when I was running with these ideas of like, I've been abandoned. I've been, what's going to be my, involvement or ongoing, association, say, with Living Miracles, and it's like it's almost like I could not buy that anymore. It's like, because it was like this thought of like, those connections are gone now. It's like, you know what, that does not feel true at all. It's like, and I just want to say that your continual demonstration of like just upholding this high note, it's so helpful, and it does inspire me to really want to be helpful and to be of service, because it's almost like when I'm on the receiving end of this, it's almost like, what else would I want to do but to give in that way and to be that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that sounds idolizing, but somewhere it actually feels like it's actually connecting with something that's true in me and something that's actually truly purposeful, and I don't even know what that necessarily means or what that looks like, but there is a feeling, and it's almost like a feeling of like, wow, it's like being used and being alive and being helpful, and I so feel it from you, and I'm just so grateful for our time together today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Colin. I don't talk too much these days. It's been very quiet and silent time for me. So when we have this opportunity for me to speak and share, I feel very good and I feel inspired. So thank you.
All right, blessings.
Okay.